All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Jouley Connections event today. We're gonna maybe give it just a couple minutes before we start diving in, but we've still got a couple people logging on. But to get started, my name is Whitney, and I'm gonna be your moderator today. We have Floyd Merriman, our president and CEO, and Brady Childress, our vice president of Parks and Service. We also have several of our partners and team members from Thomasville Buses and Proterra on today, who will be here to tell you more about Jouley. During this event, we're going to show you around the bus, underneath, under the hood, also go on a ride. Feel free to ask questions. It is going to be an open forum, so the chat is open. You can submit questions there, and we'll be checking them periodically throughout today. So to start up, let's talk about Jouley, the electric school buses currently operating in Virginia. Our team has delivered 50 buses to Virginia localities this year through the Dominion Energy Electric School Bus Program. Floyd, can you tell us more about those buses and Dominion's program?
Yes, thank you, Whitney. Phase one of Dominion Energy Electric School Bus Program was kicked off about a year and a half ago, and the goal was to deliver 50 units to initially 16 school divisions, which was eventually, due to budgetary issues and the pandemic, ended up being 15 school divisions. These buses are located throughout Dominion's footprint, and in Northern Virginia, you've got Alexandria City, Fairfax County, Loudoun County, and Prince William County. And in the Richmond area, you have Chesterfield County, Charles City County, Louisa County. And then in the Hampton Roads area, we have Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Hampton, Williamsburg, James City. And up in the valley, we have Augusta County and Waynesboro City. And then here in Central Virginia, we have Pittsylvania County, and we want to give a big shout out to our friends at Pittsylvania County for allowing us to utilize their 2 Jouley buses for these events that we've been having here. So thank you, Pittsylvania County. As you can see, these buses are in rural, urban, and all different types of terrain. So we're going to get some really good feedback over the next few months on how they perform based on the terrain that they operate in. So Dominion has talked about a phase 2, which is on hold at this particular point in time, but we do have Adam Birdsong with us. So Adam, do you want to say a few words about your program and where we may be headed?
Yeah, thanks, Floyd. And thank you, Floyd, Brady, Whitney, and team for doing this demo today. This is an extremely exciting time, not only for Sonny Merriman, Thomas, Proterra, Dominion, and the school districts that receive the first 50 buses, but for people transportation as a whole. At Dominion, we believe electric school buses are here to stay. We believe they're the future. There's no disputing that these buses provide cleaner air for our students, fewer greenhouse gases, and lower O&M expenses for our school districts. While the first phase of our program is wrapping up, we know that there are numerous funding opportunities out there, and many of you have reached out to us for charging solutions. As of today, all I can say is stay tuned. We're working hard every day to come up with innovative ways to help our customers and many of the school districts on this call today overcome some of the technical and financial hurdles of electric fleet conversions, and potentially make some of those funding opportunities go a little bit further. We look forward to working with you all to provide a cleaner, safer community, and we hope to have some sort of announcement coming soon. So again, thanks, Floyd, and hand it back over to you.
As Floyd mentioned, we do have Jouley buses operating all over the state in different terrain, including rural routes and shorter city routes. Brady, can you tell us a little bit about the operating range and just a general overview of Jouley?
Sure. The Jouley you see behind us, the nominal range on the bus is 134 miles. I say nominal because there are some things that impact range, which are extreme heat or very cold conditions where we're either running AC or we're running our heaters. That will impact range somewhat. Jouley is powered by two 110 kilowatt hour battery packs. The next generation of these buses, we're already going to 113 kilowatt hours. What we've also noticed since we've had these things out over the last 6 months or so, range has not been an issue for any of our customers who are operating Jouley, mainly due to the fact the average school bus route is about 45 miles round trip in the morning and the same in the afternoon. And since Jouley charges from 0 to full in 3 hours, they've got that operating range between their morning route and their evening route to recharge. So haven't seen any impact at all in regard to range being a problem.
So you mentioned the two Proterra battery packs. So how about we take a closer look and give everyone a first-hand look at the Proterra batteries.
Sounds good.
So we're going to check out underneath Jouley.
All right, so let's take a couple minutes and point out some of the key features and components of Jouley. Since we don't have an engine to heat coolant, we've got to have coolant heaters. So we've got two high voltage electric coolant heaters. These heaters deliver coolant to 3 pumps. So this pump right here is strictly for battery thermal management, which we'll talk about briefly. This is for our powertrain because we also deliver coolant to our inverter, our traction motor, and our air compressor. And then there's one over here on the side. This pump delivers the coolant to the cab and the interior of the bus. So 3 pumps delivering coolant for different reasons by way of 2 high voltage electric heaters. So when we talk about Proterra batteries, there's quite a bit to these batteries. Very proprietary design. They use a term called passive propagation resistance. And what that does, if you look at this long battery pack, inside that battery pack are small cylinders. Inside these cylinders are a number of stacked up batteries. The batteries are kind of like a AA battery on steroids. So what happens if there was a battery failure, it's contained in that cylinder and will not affect the rest of the battery pack. So it's strictly proprietary to Proterra, huge safety feature. Obviously, when we went to an EV partner, safety had to be at the forefront. These cases are made of ballistic aluminum. We've been asked several times why Jouley doesn't have a skid guard under the batteries, because the batteries themselves are a skid plate. They are dual 110 kilowatt hour battery packs, stacked one over top of the other, in between the frame rails. The batteries went through extensive crash testing, fire testing from a combustion engine vehicle running into them, puncture testing, blunt force, manholes exploding into the bottom of the case, and all passed with flying colors. It's a really durable battery pack. If you look under here, these are the high voltage cables that connect to our charge port. We talked about battery thermal management. So one of the things that's key to the life of any EV vehicles is battery temperature. We don't want the batteries getting too hot. We don't want them getting too cold in cold weather conditions. So we've got one pump during the winter months that will circulate coolant through the battery packs on what they sit on what's called a chiller plate or a warming plate. And in the summer when it's really hot, there's a high voltage air compressor under the hood that we'll point out to you that acts as a chiller unit. So it will actually chill the coolant that circulates through the battery packs to keep the batteries at an optimal temperature. Right behind the battery packs, you'll see our inverter. The inverter converts the energy to turn our traction motor here, which is made by UQM. And behind our traction motor, you have a very durable 2-speed Eaton transmission or gearbox. If we continue down the back of the bus, we're going to walk behind the rear axle. And you're going to see on top of the skid plate is our high voltage air compressor. So the air compressor, of course, goes to an air dryer. It delivers the compressed air to traditional tanks that are mounted between the frame rails. When we talk a little bit about the maintenance on Jouley, there's far less maintenance on this bus than there would be obviously on a diesel bus. The compressor itself has a canister element filter that should be changed roughly every 4,000 miles. The compressor also has an annual oil change, and there's 2 internal filters in this that would be done annually. This does not need an HV3 certification to perform. So we'll go back up to the battery packs as we continue to talk about maintenance.
Talking about maintenance too, you mentioned HV3 training, Brady. What kind of certifications are required to perform maintenance on Jouley?
So right now, we're performing training all around the state. Daniel Drug, our service trainer, has 4 locations to go that receive Jouley. He is giving them HV1 training, he's giving them HV2 training. But in order to do what's called decommissioning the batteries, you have to be HV3 certified. We have not rolled that out to the customers yet. So in the first year to 2 years on Jouley, any maintenance operation that requires HV3 training, we'll be providing the labor for free for that. We're going to be on site with you to perform. One of the operations that does require decommissioning is an annual battery desiccant change. So if you can zoom in here, you're going to see on both batteries, there's 2 plugs, one on each battery, and then there's a plug on the opposite end called salt plugs. And along the entire length of the exterior of this battery pack is a long desiccant. So we remove the plugs, we pull the old desiccant out, we insert the new desiccant and put in new salt plugs, and that requires an annual PM. The only thing back here that needs PM is your Eaton transmission, and it requires a fluid change at 100,000 miles. So pretty simple. I do want to show you over here on the battery pack. These are your MSDs, or manual safety disconnect. So when you're doing any high voltage maintenance on the bus, these have to be what's called decommissioned, and it's simply you remove the MSD shunts to make the batteries inert. There is one test we perform on the high voltage junction box to make sure that there's no stray voltage left in the system before doing anything high current related. There's several ways you can de-energize this vehicle. One is the manual service disconnect, but the high voltage loop can also be turned off by your low voltage battery disconnect, the actual ignition key, and a disconnect on the high voltage junction box, which we'll take a look at in just a second. So let's start lowering Jouley down because we want to show you some things under the hood.
So Brady mentioned technician training, including HV1 and HV2 certification that our team provides to customers. Floyd, can you tell us a little bit more about Jouley training that we provide to customers?
Sure. As part of our contract with Dominion, we have to supply technician training, driver training, and first responder training to all of the recipients of the Dominion buses. So we have developed, in conjunction with Proterra and Thomasville buses, a robust training package, and we will be utilizing that exact same package to all school districts who receive a Jouley, whether it be through the Dominion program or one of the many other programs that are out there today for you to purchase electric school buses. So yes, the training is an integral part of this program.
VDOE recommends a life cycle of about 15 years for school buses in Virginia. How do you expect these components to perform over that time, and what warranty coverage is available? We've gotten a couple of questions about what's included in the warranty and who will perform that warranty and maintenance work.
Okay. You know, today when you purchase a C2 school bus from us, you have a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. The Jouley has the same warranty. The electric motor and the transmission also have a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty. The battery packs are warranted. Standard warranty is 8 years, 175,000 miles, and 200,000 kilowatts of throughput. Now, all of these components for the electrification of this vehicle have extended warranties available for purchase. In other words, you can buy a 10-year battery warranty, a 12-year battery warranty, or a 15-year battery warranty with varying different throughputs. depending on whether you're going to be utilizing vehicle to grid or not. For example, Dominion, who owns the batteries on the 50 Jouleys that we delivered to the participating school districts, purchased a 15-year, 800,000 kilowatt throughput warranty for those buses. So basically, as long as you don't operate that bus more than 15 years or go over the 800,000 throughput, the batteries will be warranted for the life of the bus. So there's lots of different warranties available on all the components for this vehicle.
Talking about the standard warranty coverage for 8 years, what can customers expect from Range once they reach that 8-year warranty, the end of it?
You should still have at least 160 kilowatt hours of throughput still left, which is actually more than some of our competitors have when their bus is brand new. So when you're considering purchasing of the electric bus, you really need to study what the specific manufacturer is offering, the warranty, the kilowatt hours capacity, the whole ball of wax.
Brady, you also mentioned Proterra's battery thermal management system, which I imagine has a significant impact on the usable life of the batteries.
Right.
Can you explain more about that?
Sure. So battery thermal management, what we're looking to achieve there are keeping temperatures at a nice even keel. So batteries don't like to operate in very hot conditions. They don't like being very cold. So our electric heaters, and by way of our pumps in cold conditions, will circulate coolant throughout the battery chiller plate and warming plates to keep the batteries at an even temperature. Obviously, opposite in the summer, we're actually going to chill that coolant and circulate it through the batteries as well. It's just critical for the battery health and life.
So we're actually going to take a look under the hood to see some of the components that are involved in the battery thermal management system. We saw a few under the bus, so now we are going to check out under the hood of Jouley.
All right, let's take a peek under the hood. So what would normally be our engine bay is now more of an equipment bay. One of the things you'll see immediately when you open up is this large motor right here. That's our electric motor for our power steering, which supplies fluid, or supplies energy to the pump, I should say. This is the air compressor that works the dash air and the chiller unit for the battery thermal management system. And you'll also see we have two large devices here called variable frequency devices, 1 and 2 right below it. The top device is what supplies power to all of our high voltage powertrain equipment. So we're talking about our power steering motor, we're talking about our air compressor. Everything that either used to be gear train driven or belt driven now has to have electric energy to power them. Up here we have our vehicle controller. It's constantly monitoring what's going on in the bus and sending that information to our dash cluster. Below it is a telematics unit. Proterra uses a telematics called Apex, where they can remotely dial in and view any fault code information that the bus may have. And then in front of that, we talked about battery thermal management. We have a battery charge controller. So it's constantly looking at temperatures, the energy that's in the batteries, everything that we talked about to keep the batteries at temperature. And there's 70 different sensors approximately in each battery pack that are constantly monitoring the condition of the batteries. You'll see we have a traditional radiator, nothing really changed there. You'll see that our low voltage system is the same as any C2 you're familiar with, our bulkhead module and power distribution modules. Power steering reservoir all looks the same as any C2. So we'll walk around the other side. Same surge tank as a traditional C2. This component you see here is called the high voltage junction box. You'll also see that it has a manual disconnect that you can lock out, tag out for safety. Inside that box are all of the relays and terminals that transfer the high voltage energy to components around the bus. And that concludes our component walk around at Jouley.
So we've actually gotten a question in also from Troy Myers, and his question is, what services are included during the first 2 years and where will they be performed? And I think this is in regards to preventative maintenance.
Okay, we've actually collectively made a decision here that one of our team members for the minimum of the first 2 years are going to be on site either at one of our locations, our facilities around Virginia, or if the customer chooses at their site, to walk them through, at least 2 full phases of the maintenance. Even though now DTNA has published the maintenance requirements on our portal, the only requirement for HV3 to perform is going to be the desiccant removal. The others do not require HV3, but we still want to be there with you for the first 2 maintenance evolutions at a minimum. And of course, as we're known, if any of you guys need support for the life of the bus, pick up the phone and we're going to be there to assist. I think that answers the maintenance question.
Yep, I think so. Troy said, what is the warranty of the rest of the bus components?
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
Bumper to bumper.
Yeah. Just like your diesel CTs.
Now, on the different programs, of course, some of the components have different extended warranties, like you spoke about Dominion.
That's right.
But each of those cases are a little different depending on, how you acquired your bus.
And whoever your sales representative is, Corey Compton or Mike Worth, they can explain to you what the warranties are and what they entail on a one-to-one basis.
Right.
Because there are a number of choices on those extended warranties.
So going back to the preventative maintenance side, clearly it's a lot less for school divisions to have to do on Jouley. So what type of cost savings can they expect from the PM on Jouley versus a diesel or other standard bus?
We anticipate 50% less operating costs that the school division will enjoy operating an electric school bus versus a diesel, gasoline, propane, natural gas powered fossil fuel vehicle.
Yeah, not only are you eliminating the fuel, we're not changing the oil at intervals. We don't have any of the filter purchases like we're used to having. There are a couple service items we covered earlier, but much fewer than what we're used to on a traditional combustion engine.
Okay, so Floyd mentioned as much as maybe a 50% cost savings on the operations side. So we're going to actually take you on a ride on Jouley so you can see it firsthand.
So now that we've talked about Jouley a bit and looked at a lot of our major components, let's go for a ride. So to start Jouley, we're going to turn our key to wake up the low voltage side. Then we're going to go to the run position. One to 2 seconds to the start position. We'll get our green light, which means we're ready to go.
So as we've seen, under the bus, under the hood, Jouley is definitely different than a traditional diesel bus. Is there anything different about driving Jouley?
From a driver perspective, they're going to notice that the cockpit on Jouley looks very similar to any C2 in their fleet. Obviously with a few changes to the instrument cluster because we don't need to read engine data. We're going to be looking at things like battery state of charge. It does give us our coolant temps. You'll find that when you drive Jouley, not only is it really quiet, but it has a lot of torque. So one thing that we like the drivers to focus on is that when they accelerate with Jouley, we want to ramp up to speed very slowly. And we also want to anticipate our stop and release the accelerator. You'll feel Jouley slowing down without any surface brake input. And that's when the regenerative braking cycle happens. So we can actually put energy back into the batteries on a regular route.
You can tell that it's definitely quieter on the inside. What about when you're coming to a student stop? Is there anything to alert them that the bus is coming since it is so quiet?
Yeah, that's a good question. They actually put noise emitters in the front and rear of the vehicle. So as we drop below a designated speed, the noise emitters sound like a lonesome train whistle to alert passengers that the bus is on its way to make a stop.
Anyone watching, don't forget that we do have the chat open, so if you have questions along the way, feel free to submit those in the chat. We will check those.
Looks like we got a couple of passengers. Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, this bus that we're riding is part of the Dominion Energy Electric School Bus Program, which all of those 50 buses are equipped with lap and shoulder belts. So we'll let the ladies get buckled before we get going.
Okay, we're all set, girls?
I believe so. Thanks for riding with us today. What do you all think of Jouley the electric school bus?
It's really quiet.
Of course, besides Jouley being electric, are there any other new features on Jouley that are different from some of the older buses?
One feature that's new on all of the Jouley electric buses is the Bendix and Telepark system. It's got several features. One the drivers really love is how ergonomic it is. No longer do we have the old style push-pull valves. We'll show you in just a minute when we park Jouley how easy it is to set with just the tip of your finger. It also has a rollaway feature. So if a driver, for whatever reason, exits the bus and fails to apply the parking brake at a designated time interval, it'll apply itself, as long as it sees no input on the accelerator or the service brake to prevent that accidental rollaway.
Talking about being on hills and whatnot, Jouley also has the hill hold feature. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so hill hold is a nice feature also. So if you're on any kind of a steep incline and you're making a stop, The system will take over through the ABS system and actually hold the vehicle without effort of the service brake. And as soon as you hit the accelerator, it automatically releases the hill hold feature and you can pull away. So in that transition between holding your foot on the service brake and moving it to the accelerator, the vehicle doesn't give you any rollback.
Pulling back into our shop now, we're going to talk a little bit more about chargers here shortly, but can you tell us a little bit about the ones at our facility that we're getting ready to pull up to?
Yeah, so what we use here at our facility, we have one 60 kilowatt hour Proterra charger and 4 charging pedestals. So we can plug 4 buses in. From 0 to full, charge time on Jouley is approximately 3 hours. What our system will do, we can park 4 vehicles here overnight. It'll charge bus 1 as we're pulling into the bus 1 spot, and then we'll cascade down to the other 3 buses. So in a 12-hour period, we can charge 4 buses and have them ready to deliver the following morning.
Perfect. Yeah. Get off the bus and take a look
And
at
we'll
how
show you real quick how easy the parking brake is to set. Touch of a finger. And we're set.
Okay, so we're going to get off the bus and take a look at how to plug Jouley up. Also come as well. Watch the cord there.
So instead of a fuel door, we have a charger port access door, and it's as simple as lining the connector body up and getting a green light.
Great.
And Jouley is charged.
And then this light will also turn green.
It'll go from green to blue. Blue means that it's in state of charge when it's blinking, and it'll go to solid blue when the bus is fully charged.
All right, well, we're going to head back in now and talk a little bit more about what the charger options are for Jouley.
As we have discovered over the last 15 to 18 months, conversion to electric school buses certainly has a fair amount of twists and turns, and we're navigating those twists and turns and working with the school divisions that are operating these vehicles to gain experience and so forth. So as more school divisions come online with these buses, we'll be able to navigate them in the proper direction and what have you. And when we're talking about chargers, as you saw outside, we have a 60 kilowatt charger, and that charger will handle as many as 4 dispensers. With the Dominion program in the school districts that we've installed 15 chargers, 15 charging stations of different sizes, the most Dominion did was 2 to 1, because the vehicle to grid is so important to their program. And with this charger, you can only charge and discharge sequentially. So if you're only going to get 1 or 2 buses to start with, you may want to consider buying a 25 kilowatt charger. Now that's going to take quite a bit longer to charge your bus, so you'd probably have to charge it overnight. But we are utilizing those 25 kilowatt chargers at our branch locations, and they're working great. And I think I know Loudoun County has purchased one and uses it at its garage, and without incident, it's doing a good job. It just takes a lot more time to charge your vehicle with a charger that small. Now, on the electric school bus bid that we responded to, and we anticipate an award on this at any time now, we quoted either a 75 or a 90 kilowatt charger, and it can be not vehicle to grid or non-vehicle to grid, and there's a little bit of difference in price. The non-vehicle to grid is a little less expensive. However, if you're going to buy that kind of charger, I would recommend highly that you buy vehicle to grid, because eventually that vehicle to grid technology is going to be utilized in all areas of the state, we think. We know that it is essential in the Dominion program. We also have, for the larger fleets, we also have a new product which Proterra has designed, is a 1.5 megawatt charger, which can charge or discharge 20 buses simultaneously. And Dominion is really excited about this product because it fits right into their vehicle to grid situation, to where if in the summertime when these buses are all sitting, and this mega charger with 20 dispensers has 20 buses plugged in, they can suck energy off all 20 of those buses at the same time. And although we have not installed one in a school bus garage, Proterra has installed 3 or 4 of these in transit agencies, and they are working. This is not a science project. This is product that is operation. So obviously, cost and implementation of charger technology is evolving, and you know, we hear this question all the time. Well, how much does the charger cost? Well, we know how much the charger costs, but we don't know how much it's going to cost to install, because construction costs are different in different parts of the state. And I know that, you know, I've had this discussion with Adam Birdsong at Dominion, you know, and I said, well, Adam, how much should it cost us to put this charger in? He said, well, you know, it depends on what day of the week it is, what part of the state you're in, because the price could be different, could be drastically different at each individual places, and depending on how hungry and how much work the contractors need as well. So, you know, that's an uncertainty for sure, but, you know, once you get your charges in, they're good to go.
Can you talk a little bit about the value or cost comparison between the 1.5 megawatt versus, say, a 60 or 90 kilowatt 1 to 2?
All right. So if you're looking at a 75 to 90 megawatt kilowatt charger, that was vehicle to grid capable, that unit's going to cost you about $50,000, and then whatever the cost to construct it, which let's just say that's $50,000. So you're $100,000. So if you've got a fleet of 20 buses, and you're gonna put in 20 of these chargers 1-to-1, you're looking at $2 million. Okay. If you buy this 1.5 megawatt charger, vehicle to grid, it's going to be about $650,000, and then let's say $350,000 to install it. You're looking at about $1 million there. So basically, if you're going to do 1-to-1, then you're cutting your cost in half.
Yeah, seems like that'd be the way to go if you're looking at transferring your, you know, large portion of your fleet over.
You know, the one thing that we're hearing is that especially from groups like Highland Electric and some of these other companies that are coming in and working with school districts to do a budget neutral conversion, you know, that their big thing is redundancy. Mm-hmm. So their concern is with this, you know, and don't get me wrong, and all of you folks on here that are utilizing these first 50 buses, the biggest headache we've had is keeping the chargers up and running. That's been the most unreliable part of this. And you know, we're working with Proterra and Ramos and the other people to talk about that, and we're gaining valuable experience. And as a matter of fact, you know, we've just approved the expenditure, and Brady is now, we're going to be hiring a technician that does nothing but work on chargers. So when a charger goes down, we're not going to be in a position to where we have to wait for Proterra Tech or Ramos Tech from Michigan to get here. We're going to be there, you know, either that day or the next, and we're going to learn about these chargers just like we know our technicians know about this bus here. We're going to know how to fix it and fix it quick. We've got to. That's got to be an integral part of it.
Yeah, just recently, Proterra has agreed to train our folks, and we are looking for an EV specialist, but we're going to have charger certified techs at each location. We're going to put in a base stock of components that comprise the charger. So instead of having to rely on Proterra and Rhombus, which have limited resources, we're going to cut our turnaround time when it comes to charger problems. We're going to be on site with them.
And talking about that redundancy that a company like Highland Electric is concerned about is if you've got a 1.5 megawatt charger with 20 dispensers and you have a part fail on that piece of equipment, you're out of business with 20 dispensers. That's their concern. Now, you know, hopefully this product is going to be reliable and you know, we're banking that it will be, but we got to get some experience with it.
But the good news is we have installed the 15 of the individual 4-to-1 or 2-to-1 Proterra chargers. So
well, 16 if you count the one here.
The one here, that's right. Yep. And
then 3 more 25 kilowatt chargers at our branches. So really 19. So we have the experience that you need to, and I know most of you know this guy right here. He runs a second to none service department anywhere in the school bus industry in North America. And I can assure you, as long as I'm here, we will provide the resources that he needs to take care of you.
So unquestionably, there's a lot of interest in electric school buses, especially in Virginia. For school districts that are interested in adding electric school buses to their fleet, what's the first step and what resources are available to them?
Well, obviously, we had the Dominion program. We've also got an American Electric Power program, which is going to be $20 million, but that's spread over 6 states. And there are 31 jurisdictions, school divisions in the state of Virginia that are serviced by AEP. So unless you're in AEP's footprint, you wouldn't be eligible for that money. The big program that's coming is the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality Volkswagen mitigation funding, which is $20 million. And those applications are currently being taken and will be taken until the 25th of this month. And then they expect to award those grants by the 15th of July. As I said, we have been actively quoting buses based on what our proposal was to the state. We're just waiting on the state to say, hey, you got a contract. You know, there's other ways we can quote you, but this is the one we're looking at right now. Unless we don't get a contract, then we'll have to go to Plan B. We also have on with us today from Virginia Clean Cities, Mark Lamond. Mark, do you want to say a few words about what's going on with Virginia Clean Cities and how you can help school districts procure electric buses?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? Fantastic. Floyd, you stole my thunder a little bit. I can't follow that. You just told everybody about all the reasons why we're so excited about this. First, let me introduce briefly Virginia Clean Cities is a public-private partnership headquartered at James Madison University here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. We're supported by the federal and the state government and our stakeholders to help facilitate cleaner transportation throughout the state. The transition to cleaner school buses is an area that's really active right now. Floyd just mentioned a variety of different programs. On the federal level, the EPA is supporting the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act funding to transition to cleaner school buses, including electric school buses. As Floyd just mentioned, the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality is now has a clean school bus program that is also supporting that transition. And then on your local level, your utility, if it's Dominion or Appalachian Power in parts of Virginia, those two utilities have programs to support the transition as well. Not to mention that we are also at Virginia Clean Cities administering a regional program throughout 4 mid-Atlantic states to get electric school buses out to school districts to try out for various periods of time, to operate and try out on your routes and see how that works. And we will document your experience with that and report back up to the federal and the state government so that in the future, they will recognize this as a viable more even as a viable technology and put more funding into supporting these markets. So this is a very dynamic market right now. There's lots of support out there, and Virginia Clean Cities stands ready to assist any district looking to make that transition. So please reach out to us, vacleancities.org. Thank you very much, Floyd and Whitney, for having me today.
Thank you, Mark, for joining us, and we appreciate those words. So, Whitney?
So we are nearing the end of our session today. Like I said, we have several people on the call from Proterra, Thomas, our team that are available to answer your questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. We'll give everyone a minute, see if we have any. We're also, our sales team is on here. Floyd mentioned Mike and Corey. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. We'll put their contact information up for you. If you think of questions after this, feel free to contact any of these team members and they will be glad to help you. Let's see if we have any in the chat. I think we've touched on all the questions we've gotten so far. Okay. Well, today's presentation was recorded, so we will send out a recording of it if you want to go back and watch it again, see if you missed anything. We will share it with you. But if there are no other questions, then I think we have covered it all for today.
Thank you very much for joining us.